Welcome back to MTTV, Metal Talk TV. We're sitting here with Shredmaster legend himself, Mr. Gus G. How are you, sir?
Wow. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, well, I've been asking every musician coming on the same question to start with, which is weird times. How are you dealing with lockdown? How's it all going?
Well, I'm in Greece, so lockdown measures are lifted now, so we're not on lockdown anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I mean we didn't have that many cases to begin with,
Yeah.
and we started very early, and everybody kind of like we went on quarantine for 6 weeks already, so
Yeah.
it's okay now. Hopefully, I mean, yeah, shops just opened like a few days ago, and
Good to hear.
yeah. So I mean, during the quarantine for me it was okay. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
I did a lot of press. Talked
Hmm.
to a lot of people, and played a lot of guitar, wrote a little bit
Yeah.
of music, just took it easy. Spent time with the family,
Yep.
stuff
Well,
like that, basically. Yeah.
that's awesome. I mean, I heard from most musicians I've spoken to, they've all been saying that, we're using this downtime productively. We're writing, recording, whatever, playing. So, it's not too bad. Although I guess you're missing the live dates and performing.
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to start the tour like this week in
Yeah.
America, but it is what it is. I Well, the good thing for me is that we're still releasing the album,
Yeah.
so that's the main thing. Putting the music out there. Um, so that's happening, and at some point we will play. I mean, if that means that we have to postpone everything for a year, then that's so be it.
Well, no, that's true. Well, I'm glad the album's still coming out. Like you said, it's your ninth album now, which is pretty crazy, actually, when you think about it. You haven't.
Yeah, no, a lot of times I'm thinking why have I bothered making it this far?
I don't know, but it's a great album from what parts I've heard of it. I
Thanks.
had one of our guys, other journalists, described it as melodic power metal. But how would you describe your own music?
It's
Do you like?
definitely melodic. It's definitely melodic, but it's also very heavy. So to me, it's like heavy metal. It's
Yeah,
just straightforward heavy metal. That's how I would say. I mean, if I would have to put the tag on there, it's definitely heavy metal.
yeah,
I mean, nowadays we have to categorize everything specifically just to make sure that you know we know what we're talking about and how to sell the product. But yeah, I would say it's for heavy metal fans. If you're into classic metal or power metal for that
mm,
matter, it's not like the traditional power metal stuff that you'll hear. It's not like all happy
yeah,
metal.
yeah, yeah.
Not at all, actually. Um, but yeah, it's just heavy rock, heavy metal. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you seen? How do you think the Firewind sound has changed since, well, the last couple of albums? Because you've come a long time and a long way since then.
Well, I think especially for this album, I can say that
Mm.
in my opinion, it's like um, the a collective of all the elements that we've had in the past, like from early days up until recent albums. So the people that have followed the band for years and or people that know the other albums, they'll this will feel familiar. But also it's a very varied album. There's like all kinds of stuff going from kind of like hard rock moments to the power metal stuff to the
Yeah.
heavy stuff. So it's a little bit of everything on there. It's a lot of variety. And like 10-15 years ago we had a couple of breakthrough albums,
Yep.
an album called Allegiance and Premonition, and
Mm.
that's like the most the best selling albums that we had. And those albums were based a lot upon that type of variety, so
Yeah.
it might remind older fans a little bit of that era, without copying that stuff
Yeah.
though. But yeah, and we have a new singer. He sounds great.
I was going to ask your new singer
Yeah,
Herbie. How did that come about?
Yeah, it was suggested to me from the record label, AFM Records, and I told them I needed somebody to do the album and the tours and stuff. And they suggested Herbie, and they sent me a bunch of links to check out, and I was like, wow, I think that's the guy right away. It was like, yeah, it was pretty obvious. Like I could hear his voice fitting perfectly over the music I was making. Yeah.
Does the makeup of your band ever affect too much how you write music, or it's just a matter of you do your thing and these guys just bring in kind of complement what they do?
I mean, the other guys in the band aren't much of songwriters. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like the rhythm section and
Yeah.
stuff. I used to co-write a little bit with our keyboard player. He would come in with some ideas. In fact, me and him co-wrote one song on the album, Orbital Sunrise. But he last year he quit the band. So, but I was always like the primary songwriter.
Yeah, of course.
Like 9 out of 10 songs would be stuff that I would do, and the guys, they understood, the musical vision and stuff, and they trusted me with that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, I guess going to guitars for someone who's well ranked and well known as one of the, I think it's fair to say, modern greats of metal. How would you describe? Yeah,
Thanks.
It's not the total guitar people. It's us two. No, it's how would you describe your approach to, well, not just playing, but taking something on the road, recording? Are you someone who has the one go-to guitar, or you've got a whole different lineup for the road, one for the studio?
No, usually, I'm not a guy who goes through many guitars. Like on the road, I'll bring like 2 or 3 guitars, and that's it. 3 is like the absolute maximum, because in our band we don't have different tunings. We just stick to one tuning. So there's like a main guitar, a backup, and like maybe I'll bring a third one to have like a backstage warm-up guitar. If my tech needs to have like 2 guitars on stage all the time. But other than that, I mean, that's it. And it's the same thing at home. I just have a couple of guitars that I play. I mean, I'm lucky enough to design guitars, and with Jackson, which is a great brand, and be part of that. And we just released a couple of new models this year, so I'm really into playing lately, like the new models. So
I saw some of actually your signature Jacksons on your Instagram. If people haven't seen it, they should go check it out.
Yeah. I like to show them off a lot. I mean, I'm proud of what we did there. They're really good instruments.
Yeah, for sure. I guess if it's okay, I would like to ask about another part where lots of people might know about your history playing for Ozzy. Yeah. If that's cool. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because I think lots of people still love that album, actually, and that's just a great period. You joined in 2009 and you did the Scream record in 2010. How do you feel about that record now, 10 years old?
I still think it's a great record. I love it. I think there's really great moments on there. I haven't listened to it in a while, but I mean, it's a good record, man. It's
I agree.
There's good songwriting. I mean, the team Kevin Churko produced and wrote most of the stuff, and he writes a lot of the stuff that people hear today. Like he's behind Five Finger Death Punch and In This Moment and bands like that. And so there's something to be said there about that guy. He's very talented, not only as a producer but also as a songwriter. So for me, it was also a great opportunity, a great moment to not only, of course, only be on an Ozzy record, but to get to work, to be in a studio with a guy like Kevin Churko. I learned a lot working with him, and it was great.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was one of my probably favorite Ozzy videos is you and Ozzy and Tommy Clufudos and those guys doing Ozfest in London at the O2.
Yeah, that was cool. That was filmed for MTV for like a show they had. I think it was called Live Stage, World Stage, something like that. And they filmed like 4 or 5 songs, and that stuff is on YouTube nowadays. I've seen it, and it's really high energy. It still sounds and looks killer. Yeah.
No, it is for sure. Looking back now, do you have any kind of highlights? I mean, it's hard to pick, but favorite moments?
I mean, the whole thing was just a favorite era, like
Yeah.
just for any musician that ever would get to experience something like that at such a level. It's just mind blowing. It's like an opportunity of a lifetime, and it's I mean, it was great. Like when I think of that back, it's not like I don't only think like of
Yeah.
one tour or one day or
Yeah.
one week. I think of it as a whole. It was just, especially that first tour
Yeah.
when the band was still new. Me and Tommy were the new guys,
Yeah.
and like the first tour, and everybody was hanging out. Even on the off days, we would all go to dinners and stuff, and
Yeah.
hang out with Ozzy, and we would all travel together, and the shows were phenomenal. So, like, I have great memories from that whole period. Really.
That's really cool. No, that's really cool. When it kind of when the things ended, was it your call to walk away because you wanted to focus more on Firewind, or just focus on your own music?
No, I mean, that was their call basically because they wanted to do the farewell tour,
Okay.
and they were going to bring back Zach Wild, and of course that made sense, total sense to me, and yeah, I spoke to Sharon about it, and she was like, we're going to do this, but it was all good, really, all good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and the last few years, honestly, there was not many gigs happening. We did like a thing in 2015. That was the last gigs we played. We did like a little South America run, a
Yeah.
couple of one-offs, and that was it. And then he went back to do Sabbath.
Yeah.
So for me, it was also like, of course, I was sad, that I wasn't gonna play in the band anymore. But it was also kind of like, in a sense, it was a little bit like of a relief. Like, oh, I can
Yeah.
finally like go back and do my thing without having to worry, like, okay, do I have to make myself available and cancel stuff
Yeah.
and move stuff around. That was also always a little bit like
Yeah.
like you have to be careful how to because obviously
Schedule stuff a year in advance.
yeah. So it was a little bit like, okay, now at least I know this is happening, so I can go
Yeah.
back into my own world and pick that up from where it left off, and continue building up building on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Would you ever join another band like that? Priest, the Maiden, one of those type of gigs.
You
Steve
know,
Harris calls you tomorrow.
let's see. Would I ever join I mean, you know what? I don't know. It's like I don't think about that stuff so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
because who would have thought that Ozzy Osbourne would ever call?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Wow.
I mean, there are certain gigs that you just cannot turn down.
Yeah.
I've turned down other bands that are way bigger than Firewind, but not as big as Ozzy.
Yeah.
I've turned down auditions for other bands because I'm just happy doing my thing. But I mean, come on, if band like Priest or Maiden or something like that comes up, come on, you have to be stupid not to say no. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, for all those guys, who would you say from that kind of, well, not just that era, but any era, who are your guitar heroes as a guitar player besides, say, Randy Rhoads?
oh, Tony Iommi is a big hero of mine.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, I'm also into the a lot of shredding, obviously, like neoclassical style. Yngwie Malmsteen is a big influence. Also 70s guitarists like Michael Schenker, Lee John Roth,
Mm.
Gary Moore. That's like the school of guitar that I'm really into. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I mean, going back to Firewind, hopefully now you guys have got the album out. What are their future plans? Fingers crossed with this virus and all that stuff clearing up soon.
Well, I mean, honestly, there's no plans this year to play any gigs because it would just be
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something that it doesn't look realistic to even think about making plans of booking gigs right now. I think we're just looking at 2021, and even that's it's a little bit far away to think about. Because you have to think also like how many tours got canceled this year, and they will have to be rescheduled first, and then like the new tours are gonna follow. So it's gonna be a little bit of a clusterfuck in the beginning, I think. But we'll get there. I mean, I think for now, I'm just happy that we put out the new music. We're gonna try and do as much stuff as we can online. Keeping the content flowing. I think keeping content is key right
Yeah.
now here. Just trying to be creative and find ways to keep pushing this, and then eventually we'll go out there and do it. We'll go out there and play the tours that we were supposed to play.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
might be a year or a year and a half, or maybe sooner. Who knows? I think with every country is a different situation nowadays.
Yeah, I think so. That's a weird thing as well. Some doing better than others. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you said content and different bands kind of having to react to this, and I've seen guys doing live streams and doing those who aren't doing live streams are putting up old gigs on YouTube, that kind
yeah.
of thing. Does that kind of stuff interest you? I've seen you do a few sessions and guitar lessons on your Instagram, but what about, I don't know, Firewind Unplugged or covers or
Yeah.
any?
I mean, it'll be hard with this band to put anything live because we all live in different countries.
Yeah.
I mean, we can fake it like a lot of people do it, like where you record
Yep.
something in your room and everybody does their part. In the end, looks like a room jam. But I mean, I think already everybody's been too fast already and done too many of those. I don't know. I know we're gonna put out a couple of more videos. Maybe I'll work on some playthroughs, some of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cool material on the album, so I would like to try and do
Sure.
as much stuff as I can for the new material, put it out there, and we'll see. I mean, I'm not opposed to if we can travel and eventually and get together
Yeah.
in a rehearsal room. I would like to do like a rehearsal live stream or even a gig from a rehearsal room. So that could be cool, but we'll need to be able to have open borders for that first.
Yeah. What do you think of those pay-per-view gigs?
What's that?
Like the guys, I think Metallica are doing one. A few other, Bonamassa is doing one where you pay, I don't know, like not the price of a ticket, but like $5.99 or $10 or whatever, and then it's
Yeah.
like,
It makes sense. It makes sense to me because it's still a lot of work to put something like that together.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody turning on like a live on Instagram and then putting their phone and playing. I mean, they're probably getting the band together, the gear, the crew, the people that have to make sure the audio is done well. I mean, so it's still like a production.
Yeah.
So I mean, if this is what we got now, I mean, I don't see why there shouldn't or there couldn't be like a pay-per-view thing, like you said. I mean, the whole thing is going towards that way anyways. I mean, everything is subscription based now. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm even thinking because I want to film a lot of people asking about it. I mean, I did 10 years ago. I did a instructional DVD.
Yep.
But the DVD is done like as a format. Like who watches DVDs? I don't know anybody. But I'm thinking like I want to do like 10 years later now. So I want to do a new. I want to do a new guitar method instructional thing. So what's the
cool.
Yeah, but what's the best way to put it out? I mean, I'm thinking of other ideas, other platforms, maybe like through Patreon or something like that, or maybe you can subscribe to get some sort of like weekly lessons and stuff, because this is the way it's done now, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Fair. Well, that's really awesome. I think that's about covers it. Everyone got to check out what you're doing with Firewind. If you haven't checked out the new album, go check it out. But where should we follow you for updates? Instagram, your website, your Facebook?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or the websites, everything. Like me personally, it's Gus G official or Firewind official. So yeah, you'll find us there.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll see you out on the road when all this is over and get to hear that record and everything live.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's hope for that.
Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Bye.
I get to find a way.